Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. For those of you who are new to us, appreciate you coming on. And for those who are, subscribed members, we appreciate you. Welcome to Borders and Beyond. Today, I have with me a very close friend of mine. His name is Vinny. We're going to be talking a little bit on a lighter subject. Well, hopefully, lighter subject. It's about cricket. This is Vinny is someone that I actually reach out to from time to time when I get really lost or I'm not sure how to convey my emotions, or when I'm angry about the cricket, especially when the Indian team is playing, or I need some sense pumped into me. This is the guy I reach out to. He's someone that I appreciate. He's really good, exceptionally knowledgeable in this game, and as a passion for especially the Indian cricket team. So what we're going to be talking about today is obviously the recently concluded match between India and Pakistan in UAE, and we're just going to have a fun chat about it. And obviously there was a lot of raised eyebrows in India, and there was gnashing of teeth by a certain number of people. So I guess my thinking was, all right, that they played the game, but why was there so much, problems with it? What was there a controversy about it? So I guess what we're going to do is dive deep into the weeds, untangle some of these things, and just get a perspective from someone like Vinny, who obviously monitors and watches this, and is more passionate about it and understands the kind of the political aspect of it also. So, Vinny, welcome. How are you, mate?
I'm glad to be here, Martin. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's all right.
Before I begin anything, first things first, the fact that you said you reach out to me when you want to be guided in terms of things, I'm sure the first person to disagree with that would be my better half, really. If anyone reaching out to me for any sort of advice, you're probably scratching the bottom of the barrel at this stage. So, really, but no, look, all jokes aside, the feeling is mutual. We've
Thank
known
you.
each other for a long time.
Yep.
And look, for what it's worth, we do have a lot of conversations, cricket related,
Yep.
and not necessarily just in terms of the result. I think it's a good forum we have where we try to talk things beyond the narrative that was portrayed in screen, and I think that's one of the good things that we've managed to uh, hold on to for a long time, because the results are results, right? You know what's happened, you know what's transpired in the game, but I guess it's the after effects of that. There's a bit of us, especially when the Indian team doesn't perform as well. Um, there's a bit of a sore loser in us that comes out as well. But then once you get past it, we try to dissect it. So yeah, look, all said and done, I'm happy to be part of this forum. Hopefully the viewers and subscribers appreciate it as well. So yeah.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. I mean, look, at the end of the day, we're Indians, but we're living in Australia. We have a different perspective sometimes, and yes, there's a lot of noise that happens there. But I guess from our point of view, my point of view, and obviously from your point of view also, is that we're just trying to dissect it and see what's happening. All right. On that note, okay. Well, I guess I've got to ask you the question: what did you think of the game?
Look, there's two ways to look at it, right? And that comes with the nature of the beast that cricket has evolved to as well. From the time, I suppose, we've started watching, where it used to be Test cricket and ODI, nothing else. Now we've seen how cricket has evolved to another form called T20, right? And that's a beast in itself. To equate it to say that it's just another form of cricket is almost oversimplifying. It's a gross oversimplification of the format itself. And I think that's where we need to look at it, because this Asia Cup actually, let me go one step behind. The Asia Cup is a bit of an interesting tournament. The reason I say interesting is it is a tournament that hasn't always, unlike the World Cups, it's not something that's scheduled regularly. It was designed more, I guess, in ethos. It was designed to sort of promote the Asian bloc, the subcontinent, if you like, because back in the day it was predominantly England, Australia, and that sort of, they were the kings, if you like, of the Cricket Council, as it were, back then. but to sort of foster a little more a subcontinent block, if you like, that was the inception of the Asian Cricket Council. Now, this tournament has different format. It did have an ODI format. Now, for those avid cricket fans like ourselves and anyone else watching as well, you would have realized that the last edition of this was an ODI format. The current format is a T20 format. Okay, so remember at the start I said we've got the new T20 format, and I guess that's where we look at the performances of the team in that lens as well. So obviously over COVID, the pandemic, believe it or not, we did have a pandemic in between. The Asia Cup was put to rest for a little while. And then we had these forced tournaments. But the trend that's sort of developed over now is it's a precursor. So whatever World Cup follows the Asia Cup, it is a tournament that mimics that, if that makes sense. So last year we had the ODI World Cup. So in preparation for that, the Asia Cup was designed to be a 50-over Asia Cup. Now we've got the T20 World Cup coming in early 2026, the first quarter, to be played in India, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan. It is a T20 World Cup, hence why the Asia Cup this time around, the current format is the T20.
Gotcha.
And to that point, I know I'm rambling on a bit over here.
No, not at all.
So I guess when we talk about the team's performance, we need to look at the team's performance in that specific format.
Okay.
Now, in the last World Cup, the last edition of the World Cup, the 2023 World Cup, for everyone watching, India made it to the finals. They had an unbelievable run up until the finals. They were the unbeaten team by far, and arguably, at least just in terms of results, in terms of points, they were the team to be beaten. They did not drop a single game. They were on a winning streak, except any diehard Indian supporter, the moment you say 19th of November 2023, even now, I wake up in a sweat because it was the cup that never was meant to be, that sort of stuff. And as an Indian team, that was the only hurdle that faltered, and that we faltered at, and we didn't win the World Cup. Okay, the reason I sort of went into a bit of a preamble with that is the ODI team, the ODI Indian team rather, has always been a good team. Now, we probably don't have a lot of silverware to show for it in terms of the ICC World Cups. We won 83 and then 2011 famously, Dhoni finishing off the game with a 6. But just in terms of consistency, this is a team that's consistently got to the finals, semi-finals, to the knockout stages. 2007 was probably a bit of a one-off, if you like. Or I wouldn't say one-off, it was a bit of an outlier with the whole fiasco of Greg Chappell and this and that and all of that. But since then, once they got rid of that, this team as an ODI has always been consistent, right? They've always made it to the semi-finals and finals, and admittedly never won the silverware. That is up until in the last few years. So having said that, the ODI team was good. Now T20, the T20 Indian team. Now, we've had discussions before. The IPL is in its 18th. It was just completed its 18th edition recently, right? Now you think a tournament, a premier T20 tournament with that much riches, with that much publicity, the IPL has only gotten bigger. And dare I say, it's probably at a stage where nobody knows what the end result looks like. It was a tournament that was born, I wouldn't say a whim, but nobody knew what to expect. And I dare say after 18 editions, people still don't know what the finished product looks like. It is a beast that is evolving. It is evolving. The money involved in that is crazy. Arguably, we're talking, the tournament money, the prizes and riches could invariably be the GDP of a third world country. That's the amount of money we're talking about, right? Anyway, India as a T20, up until a few years ago, in spite of all that, the IPL being this premier brand, wasn't really a force to be reckoned with.
Mhm.
So
Kind of reminds me of England and EPL, isn't it?
that's a great analogy. That's a great analogy. That if
Right?
anyone that follows it, enough said.
Enough said, right? I mean, like they got amazing Premier League players. I mean, the tournament, but they can't for the life of it convert it into something that's tangible as a silverware.
Correct. And not to discredit the England, not to discredit the England football team. I think where India struggled is up until a few years ago, and I'm sure diehard fans would agree as well. We as a cricketing team didn't really decode the T20 game. It was a game where our tactics, in particular, it was a game where it was lost in translation, sort of like an identity crisis. We didn't know if a T20 was look when they if it was a shorter version of an ODI, or if it was it was just a shorter version of an ODI. Again, a gross simplification.
Gross, yeah.
You know, right? In the ODI, you have roles where you start off. There's a bit of a power play where you go crash bang boom. Then there's middle overs where you consolidate, and then in the end you go nuts. Right? In theory, everything seems the same. You've still got your colored clothing. You've still got a white ball. You've still got only 2 innings, 11 players each. You've got bowlers that can bowl a maximum of 4 overs. Now, that mindset stuck around for a long time. And dare I say, even the last T20 World Cup that we won, mind you, the conditions were different, right? But we still had ODI players trying to work their way into T20. So Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, legends of the ODI game, right? Their record speaks for itself. Someone like a Virat Kohli, the name is enough, right? He's probably one
advertiser's dream, eh?
Oh, forget advertiser's dream. I'm just talking in terms of cricketing credentials. As an ODI player, like one of the all-time greats, like in terms of chasing as well. We had Tendulkar back in the day, but it was Tendulkar, and then the next best batsman between number 1 and number 2, there was daylight, right?
Yeah.
So Tendulkar was 100 points. Number 2 was probably sitting at about 45. That's the level of competition.
Yeah.
But these guys I guess what I'm trying to say is we were trying to play T20 as an ODI form. So in spite of having IPL consistently, even at the height of the pandemic, when the whole world went into lockdown, guess which tournament still decided to go ahead? IPL went ahead to the point where when things got out of hand in terms of the pandemic, they even decided it was only paused temporarily and then picked up. It was supposed to be played in India. It was stopped midway, and then after a few months, it picked up in the UAE. So that's the amount where I guess we weren't. The BCCI wasn't even willing to sort of put a hold on it, put it on ice. That's how much of a premier product it is for the BCCI.
I do remember seeing pictures of players sitting in a plane in full PPE clothing. Just them and only them in the plane, and obviously being shuffled around. So, and I thought to myself, geez, it's not fun doing this.
That is one aspect of it, Martin. You think of it as a sports person, as an elite sports person that's used to playing in full crowds, right?
Yeah.
This is almost apocalyptic in the sense where
stadiums are completely empty. So there's no noise.
There's no noise, nothing. Where these players like Virat Kohli, some of the other ones, they thrive. They feed off the energy from the crowd.
Yeah.
Your diehard listeners or anyone really, they would have noticed there are times when the game is at a standstill. You'll find someone like a Virat Kohli orchestrating stuff, looking at the crowd, saying, "Come on," because he needs that.
Yeah.
As people, forget cricket. You think of the guys like Federer and stuff, or Leighton Hewitt back in the day. He always did this. Come on, Jesse. That was just whilst he's pumping himself. That's also pumping the crowd. So when you've got nothing to feed off,
there's no feedback,
and cricket, look, as all said and done, isn't a game that's quick. There are periods in there where it can go slow, right? So you need things for something to happen. You talk about sledging and all of that. That needle comes in only when the crowd's behind you, right? So yeah, to your point, it was a very interesting time for these players, and this was at the height of the pandemic. It wasn't just playing as well. You had to do quarantine. There was stuff where they would be confined in their rooms for hours and hours, days. They couldn't interact with each other. So it is very, very.
It wasn't fun.
No, it wasn't fun.
I mean, even for us. I mean, we're in Victoria. For those of you who don't know, look, we're both of us are in Victoria, and we had one of the harshest lockdowns where we were basically subjected to where we could only travel 5 kilometers within the perimeters of our house, and it was tough. It was tough.
You could only leave the household for 60 minutes a day.
Yeah, 60 minutes a day. Yeah, so there was some tough times, and it's all appreciated. Even the IPL was appreciated because you had only one thing to do, but look at TV and watch Netflix or watch some kind of sports. Unfortunately, this gave us a little bit of I guess, relief in seeing something where at least people were living life, and that's important. Anyway, so now circling back. So we're coming back to the ACC tournament and the India-Pakistan game, which happened in the UAE. Now, normally,
before I go, sorry,
go on.
Before I guess I wanted to sort of before we go into the Asia Cup, I just wanted to talk about, and this is a very long-winded answer to when you said what's your talks about.
We got time.
No, I guess I wanted to say that why India as a T20 team is a different beast altogether.
Right.
So up until the last T20 World Cup, we were sort of caught in between. We still needed the ODI stars to bail us out. Again, after 18 editions, you'd think a tournament that is focused on IPL riches, Premier tournament, everyone in the world competes in it. You're playing against the best of the best, right? It's open to anyone except for the Pakistan team. Everyone else in the world comes. So you're playing against the best of the best. You're conditioned, you're hard, and you think, and this is where the analogy of the English football team and the EPL comes into play. You think with all these riches and these the facilities, India would have won at least a couple of, besides the first edition of the T20 format, T20 World Cup, which at a time no one knew what it was, and admittedly even the seniors from the team sort of gave way because they said, "Oh, this is probably a Mickey Mouse tournament, not worth our time." India didn't win a single tournament, so it took Rohit Sharma as the captain to do something really unique, to say, "Hang on, this approach, we've done the same thing so many times and we haven't got results." What's the definition of stupidity and genius? The definition of stupidity is doing the same things 50 times and expecting different results, right? And Rohit Sharma said, this has to change. We need to go. And he did have some history as in the IPL. He was the most successful captain, winning the title 5 times with the Mumbai Indians. So there was obviously something in there. Now, the T20 format is a different format where it's not about consolidating runs. You've got 120 balls. It's about making maximum impact. At the end of the day, a game is not won like tests in terms of wickets or anything. You score X amount of runs, the other team has to chase it. Simple as that. You've got 120 legal deliveries to achieve that objective. So it took a real change in mentality to the point where even someone like a Virat, with his credentials, with his experience, with God knows 15 years of international experience, even he had to relearn the game. To come to my point, so after the last World Cup, which India won, your stalwarts, your Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Ravindra Jadeja, all of these guys, great fairy tale end. They all called it quits. And that was literally 2 years ago. Since then, there's been a change. For once, the Indian cricket team has actually understood what T20 is. So you look at this T20 team, it's a different unit altogether. It's so that stepping stone that Rohit Sharma and the management at that time set has only been built on. It's almost, they've changed the way they played it. So, which comes down to my point, the Indian T20 team is a beast of a team, right? This is a team, look, to the point where even when the squad is announced, there's questions about why X, Y, and Z isn't included in the team. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, it is a good, I don't know how a headache can be any good, but it is a good, we've got the problem of riches at the moment, right? We've got so many exclusive candidates, and T20 is a game where it is maximization of resources. So you look at this Indian team, you can think of at least 4 or 5 players that deserve a place in this team that haven't been included in the squad alone. So the Indian T20 team they've gone to another level altogether. And credit to them for playing consistently, right? They've got well-defined roles. You've got premier fast bowlers, you've got variety in spin, and they're all hard-hitting players. Now, that's not what you would have said of the Indian T20 team a couple of editions of the World Cup before. Right?
Okay.
Now we'll come to your point.
Yeah.
The Asia Cup, right? So you know how I briefly mentioned that in the ODI format, India was a consistent team. It was a good enough team, but not a great team. It was a good enough team to always get to the semi-finals and finals, but then it wouldn't go past that. It was a hurdle that they struggled to cross. That is not what you would say about the current Indian T20 team. They are a team that is expected to win. It is anything below that is almost not good enough. And that's the level that this... So it's taken 18 years to evolve for the Indian team to get to that stage. So the Indian T20, it's a different captain, bunch of youngsters, and these guys have grown up on a diet of T20, right? That is something that they understand. Someone like a Hardik Pandya who plays this, he's a white ball specialist. You do have a few multi-format specialists, but everyone else has grown up on a diet of T20. That is all they understand. Not all they understand, they understand it inside out. That's all they care about. I'm sure at the heart of it, if you asked any cricketer, they'll say, playing for India in their test is probably their ultimate dream. But at this stage, these are people that understand the game inside out. So in this Asia Cup, really, India is a standout team. Again, second best in here is a long way off. Even the likes of England and Australia, as great cricket teams they are, from a T20 perspective, they are not consistent. This Indian team is not only good is probably an understatement, is great in terms of the T20 format, but they're consistent. Now, T20 is a format that, look, this is, the way I'm describing it is it's a foregone conclusion that India would. Look, the essence of sport is on any given day, anyone is beatable, right? But at the end of the day, that's the beauty of sport. As much as you go about it, all it takes is, and that's the beauty of T20 in particular, because you could be dominating the game for 80% of the duration. All it takes is one individual brilliant performance, and you're in the game. You can win the game. You go back to the last World Cup, South Africa needed 33 of 30 balls with 5 wickets in hand. Any man and his dog would have put money in South Africa to win. But that's all it took was one inspired catch and then some individual brilliance in there. And there you go.
No, it's interesting, isn't it? Like sports, it's like a reflection of life, isn't it? Really, when you think about it. Because at any given moment in time, you're going to have surprises. But so what do you think? Okay, the thing is, the cash cow is usually the India-Pakistan game, right? In any game. Everyone knows because the subcontinent goes into this frenzy of, we need to watch this, and everything gets dropped by the wayside, and
especially in India-Pakistan.
And especially in India-Pakistan. You've gone through this entire chronology of how the T20 team is phenomenal. But when we look at it, so I'll give you some stats very quickly. So that so the ACC's broadcasting rights were bought by Sony, and they paid $170 million equivalent for an 8-year contract. I think, if I'm not mistaken, 2023 to 31 is what I think it is. And prior to that, the contract before that was only worth between 80 and 90 million dollars, right? So that's a significant. It's nearly what, at 80-90% up, And the fundamental reason that they gave was that specific product, the India-Pakistan product, right, or the game, and that's why they thought they went with it. Now, obviously, we all know that recently had, an issue with in Pahalgam. There was a terrorist attack, and Operation Sindoor is continuing. And surprisingly, this recent India-Pakistan game it courted more controversy than normal. That's given.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For non-cricketing reasons.
For non-cricketing reasons. And usually it's all about cricketing reasons. Somebody supported this and somebody, but this time, but there was a general feeling of why are we doing this? And it was not just a group of people sitting down in a cafe doing it. It was just a general feeling. And you mentioned to me that relatives of yours didn't do it, watch because they were that annoyed and angry about it, right? So talk to us about why this became such a major issue. Because let's be honest with ourselves. Since the birth of the nation in 1947, we've had multiple skirmishes, multiple issues. We've had, we've even had a tournament in the middle of Kargil, and it hasn't created this problem, right?
Even just traveled to Pakistan.
Yeah. So in the middle of Kargil, where there was a war going on, we still played cricket, right? And it was called cricket diplomacy and things like that. So why is this now more problematic than that? And why is this creating a level of sense of anger among the general populace? And what do you think this game went ahead?
Good. Look, that's a real good summary. I think we need to sort of take a couple of steps back as well. India, Pakistan, as you've said, for a time immemorial, has always been fiercely looked at. I mean, to say it's almost like the Ashes is probably, again, oversimplifying it. The rivalry between England and Australia is legendary in terms of history. That's probably a bigger contest.
Yeah.
But India and Pakistan, let's go back again, right back to partition. There's always been that sort of geopolitical time. And for some odd reason, the India-Pakistan game has always had a bit of it's almost treated like a proxy war, if you like. And there's two reasons to it, right? Back in the day, and I don't think Indian supporters will mind me saying, the Pakistan team was a giant. They were strong. They were a strong team. And look, we'd be lucky as an Indian supporter to win a couple, if not all the games, right? There was a time when these tournaments were played in Sharjah. Sharjah was almost like a fortress. They would never lose at Sharjah. We'd have the odd game. I grew up at a time watching, Javed Miandad hit a six of the last ball of Chetan Sharma, literally kill his career. That's the sort of memories we have. Now coming back, the India-Pakistan, so we've always had that, whether we like it or not, and it's a marketer's dream. It's a broadcaster's dream. No matter what happens, when there's an India-Pakistan game, people will drop everything they do just to tune in. Now, like you said, there was a time when we would play in each other's backyards, if you like. But then after Kargil, I think, or was it Uri? I can't remember. There was a steadfast decision that India and Pakistan will not play each other until it's global tournaments, ICC tournaments, rather. So then it became a supply-demand thing, right? You wouldn't play. Someone like a Virat Kohli in his established career has retired not having played in Pakistan. Now that's not, I'm talking purely from a lover of the game, right? Your legends like Sachin or Sani Gavaskar, they built their careers about performing in different parts of the world. Now, this is an entire career that has gone without having played in a particular thing. That's the look. They did play in under 19 days, but we're not looking. We're looking at the sort of pro area. So that's the sort of world we're living in now. And unfortunately, and that's the nature of the beast. We take it as it comes. But this India, so the premium was only during World Cups. Now, anyone, and including Pakistan supporters, will say that the Pakistan performance in these World Cups hasn't been to that standard. So historically, other than the Champions Trophy in 2017 and the T20 World Cup, 2020 World Cup in the Middle East, Pakistan has had very limited success against India.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in terms of a contest, the India-Pakistan hasn't really lived up to the billing. I think the last game that I can think of that did sort of live up to the hype was the 2021 World Cup in Australia, where Virat Kohli in the last over hit that. That was
at the G, isn't
at
it?
the MCG, correct. That was a game that went down to the wire. But other than that, everything else has been one-sided, to say the least. Okay, regardless, it is a marketer's dream. They do milk it. And look, as much as you and I, we've talked about as well, even at ungodly hours, I've seen myself wake up to check the score. It's just that thing in there. Which comes down to this particular Asia Cup, right? Why is there a sense of what's the word I'm looking for? Disenchantment, really? Why is everyone disassociated with the game?
Mm-hmm.
You're right. Pahalgam, unfortunately, look, we do come across a world where, they talk about not mixing politics and sport together.
Mm-hmm.
But Pahalgam, for all said and done, has only happened a couple of months ago. So it is still raw. Operation Sindhu, like you correctly pointed out, has not only just occurred, it is still going on at the moment, right? So it is still raw. The scars are still there for a lot of people. And especially, I guess, because, and this is not criticizing any side of the coin, I'm just trying to play it neutral here. The stance from the Indian government was on the back of that was, we want nothing to do with Pakistan. We are boycotting them. We will not engage with them in anything as part of Operation Sindhu. For right or wrong reasons, they were hurt, right? The Indian public was hurt, and they tried to dissociate with itself until they wanted restitution, if you like. And that was, like we discussed, only a couple of months ago. So the fact that the ACC comes around and India is playing Pakistan in a neutral venue, mind you, this Asia Cup should have happened in India. India are the host that bid for it and won it. But because of the current political climate, Pakistan would not or cannot come to India to play. India will not host them. And the other alternative would be for India and Pakistan to sort of shuttle, which happened in the last T20 World Cup, Champions Trophy rather. So as a middle ground, they decided to play in the Middle East. Not only is India playing Pakistan, the tournament is designed in such a way, you've pulled out the numbers earlier, they paid big bucks for it. It's designed in such a way that India plays Pakistan at least 3 times. So we are actually having this chat on the eve of the next India-Pakistan game.
Which is happening tomorrow.
Well, actually, for those watching, it's tonight. It's midnight. Okay. For Australian audience, it is midnight tonight.
Right.
For Indian audience, it is 8 p.m. Indian time. For UAE audience, it is 6:30 p.m. So for all intents and purposes, it is a Sunday night billing. Right. Prime time viewership. India-Pakistan, the way the tournaments are designed, are always magically drawn to play each other on a Sunday.
There's no magic in that, right?
No.
It's like going through airport and saying, it's a random, check. It's not random. Trust me.
It's almost as magical. It's almost as magical as the draws in the WWE. I mean,
yeah, that's right. For those of you who don't know WWE, check it out.
Yeah. So I guess that is the disillusionment, right? After all the talk about not having to do this, we don't want to engage. There is a tournament that is going ahead. Okay, you can bite the pill and say, you know what? At the end of the day, this is not exclusively India, Pakistan. This is a semi-global tournament, right? At the end of the day, they have commitments. The boards have certain commitments to play.
Yes.
The ACs, the Asian Cricket Council, is made up of other boards, and this is a tournament that must happen because the likes of UAE, Oman, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, they all need these tournaments to happen so that they can get some revenue from the ICC, right? India is, for all intents and purposes, the richest cricket board. Dare I say, it's probably one of the richest sporting bodies in the world as well. But this is a tournament that, and as that global citizen, if you like, in the cricketing world, India does have a commitment to
promote the game,
right? And especially in the Asian subcontinent, that subcontinent block, they're almost like the big brother. If they play, the other money, other teams will get money funneling through, and that'll feed through to the grassroots level as well. Now, having said that, so not only are they playing thrice, this is on the back of, Pahalgam. The scars are still a bit raw. I think, again, this is not a tournament that was born overnight, right? The planning was done well in advance. The TV rights were sold well in advance. Where the controversy comes is, look, when it first happened, I've had some time to digest not just the results, but all the noise around it since the games happened. Look, the current coach of the Indian team, Gautam Gambhir, he, for all those who don't know, he was a former India player. He was a former MP in the Delhi Parliament as well, right? So he's a diehard. Don't want to use. He was a patriot, right? Long story short. He's a diehard Indian team supporter. He's one of those coaches that almost treats the players like soldiers. When we have it on record, where the new people have said, some of the new members of the team have said, he inspires the team, saying that every blow that you take on your body is almost like a bullet. Think of yourself as a soldier. Now, that's a bit of an extreme because,
I think that's a bit too extreme.
That is, look, one, it's unfair on you. Two, I just think equating a soldier and a player with all the equipment is, they're two different things.
You're fighting, I guess, I get the analogy there because they're trying to, one is the battlefield of real fire, and the other one is the battlefield of cricket, where you're representing a nation and trying to bring some glory. But I think that's conflating things.
Yeah, it is conflating. Conflation is the right word. Okay, having said that, I guess two things. One, the controversy around this time around was India said, all right, we will come to play, which is fine. Now, you and I, we are sport enthusiasts, or we don't look like it. We've seen, the harshest of battles be played out, right? But at the end of the day, they shake hands and they say, well played, mate, then walk off. Now, shaking of hands or acknowledging your opponent shouldn't be a question mark on your patriotism, I think. Does that make sense?
I agree.
The same way, if I ran into if I was working in a global organization, if I was working in an organization which, had a person of Pakistan origin being my manager, would I give up my job for that?
No.
It'd be pretty stupid of me to give up, right? It's the same point, right? Like, and those things work. And at the end of the day, this is not the army against the army, right? They're two playing nations, and these players have had nothing to do with the war, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? One hasn't done time at the battlefield and then play for the country, which is how it was back in the 40s and stuff. These are pro athletes that play only cricket. So where the controversy started is just before so India knew they were playing Pakistan. They knew when they were playing Pakistan. And likewise, Pakistan knew they were playing India. They know they're playing a team that is headed by Gautam Gambhir, who is vocal for most parts as well, as a diehard Indian supporter. and this is, I'll talk about it. This is where I initially thought the hypocrisy was a bit on one side only, but now I've realized it's on both sides of the fence.
Okay.
So you know what you're coming into, right?
Mhm.
That's like me walking into a KFC and saying, "What? There are no vegetarian options?" I'm like, mate, it's got chicken in the name. It's, they might have vegetarian options, but it's a given, right? You cannot go in there and expect to be surprised,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or if you were looking for vegetarian options, KFC should be a last option. Put it that way, right?
Yeah.
If you're in the middle of nowhere and that was the only option, fair enough. So you kind of know what you're walking into, right?
Mhm.
You know this is, from a political point of view, this tournament in particular is, there's a lot of noise around it. And that's because, some ex-players have voiced things. Social media, unfortunately, is one of those things where things get amplified for right or the wrong reasons, really. So there's been a lot of chatter around it. Now, Pakistan did come and play in 2023 in India, but again, it was designed in such a way that they were kept away from some of the places that could court a lot more controversy. And the tournament went without any issues for the Pakistan team, right? That Pakistan didn't qualify is a different thing altogether. So this time around, I think just before the toss, the Indian captain, Surya Kumar Yadav, went up to the match referee. This is right before the toss, as I've been led to believe. He told the match referee that we are playing. However, I will not be exchanging pleasantries with the Pakistan cricket captain. Now, I don't know how you sit on the fence with this one. Again, as far as I'm concerned, you're playing a global sport, just looking at the person on the other side and saying, good day, good luck, shouldn't be a question mark on your patriotism, or it shouldn't be a reflection of anything other than the fact that you're just about to play a game, right? You're not exchanging national secrets. Now, the Pakistan camp took a bit of offense to it. I would argue rightly so. But the problem here is they didn't convey it directly to the Pakistan team. They conveyed it to the match referee. And the match referee, Andy Pycroft, then conveyed it to the Pakistan captain saying, the toss is going to happen, but please don't shake hands with the Indian camp. They took a bit of offense to that. Fair enough. The game happened, and as the game panned out, India ended up winning comfortably. Pakistan was pulled out cheaply. But right after the game, Surya Kumar Yadav hit the winning runs. Now, it's customary in sport. Once you're done with the game, you shake hands. You say, look, unlike tennis or, some of this, let's look at the individual sports. Tennis, you walk up to the net, you've seen, look, you shake hands. There have been instances where that hasn't been the case, especially with the Ukraine-Russia. I think it was the women's tournament. This particular, I can't, name slips my mind at the moment. But she refused to shake hands and she walked off, which is fine. Again, when I say fine, it's happened, it's occurred. Right after the game, in cricket in particular, you have a history, right, where you shake hands. Not only do you shake hands with the players on the field, players from the dressing room walk out onto the field and you shake hands with the opposition as well.
Yeah.
Now, this didn't occur. They walked off and they went into their own dressing room and closed doors. Again, not a great look, but the Pakistan team did take offense to it because they didn't know what was happening. So they hung around, as I'm led to believe, they hung around for a bit and realized, hang on, nothing's coming. So rather, nothing's happening here. So they went off. They took offense to that. And for the post-match conference, they decided to take a stand and they sent the coach instead, right? Because it's customary for the captains to come out and have a
Correct.
So the coach came out. The coach is Kiwi, by the way, Mike Hesson. And the obvious question there in the post-match conference was, where's the Pakistan captain, Salman Ali Agha? And paraphrasing here, his words were, "Oh, this is a bit of a roll-on effect of what's happened
Moments ago.
moments ago.
Mhm.
He's boycotting the press conference because he felt he was disrespected." So that sort of kickstarted opened up a whole can of worms. What then happened was, he took offense, and Surya Kumar Yadav said, "Look, it is what it is. I chose not to shake hands." And look, there is by taking this stance, the Indian cricket team hasn't broken any rules. They haven't. Now we've got this massive term in the cricket preamble,
Spirit of the game.
Spirit of the game.
Mm.
Go figure.
Mm.
It is such a broad term that it could be interpreted in so many different ways. It's up to the person on the team on the day that
It's good for lawyers.
Oh yeah. The only spirit I want is in my glass, really. But so you can argue it's the spirit of the game, but there's nothing in black and white to suggest that you are required to shake the opponent's hands. And it was India's stance not to do so. I guess where I'm conflicted is this: you knew you were playing Pakistan, not last week, not the week before, not last month. You knew ages ago. You knew you were going to play Pakistan on this day. You could argue Pahalgam happened before, right? It wasn't designed to happen. It just happened on that day, unfortunately, and hearts go out to the victims in there as well. It just happened. So once the tournament was clear to happen, when I say tournament was clear to happen, the Indian team didn't just fly in here, right? They needed clearance from the government, right? The government of India gave them the go-ahead to say, okay, right, you can go and play. You play in neutral venues, and they have got clearance to play in neutral venues against Pakistan. The fixtures have been decided, the tickets have been sold. So if there was a particular stance that you needed to take, you could have done that ages ago. You could have, looked the opponent in the eye and said, I am not going to shake your hands for this particular reason. Or you could have issued an official statement well in advance, so you could have prepared, right?
Sure. So my thing is, all right, you've gone and you've kind of given me a bit of a background to it. But here's my thing. Look, sport is sport, right? I play sport. I play table tennis. Now, for those, I actually do play competitive table tennis. And yes, there are times when, you don't like the person but you play the game for the spirit of the game, right? And it is a tournament.
The spirit of the competition.
Really. The spirit of the competition. And at the end of it, you share to say good luck. I mean, you start off with all the best, and then you come out and say, mate,
you don't mean it, but
all the best, and you go in and do it. And then later, once you finish, you just shake your hands and you say, all right, well, whoever wins, you say, well done, and you move on, right? So I find it really, really weird. I do. Trust me, I do find it very weird, because the reason why I'm not really fence-sitting here. I'm going to be a bit blunt about this, right? We've had multiple skirmishes, multiple issues since 1947, right? And when I say we have had this, we've had it. And look, Kargil was a 100-day war. It was a full-on war.
Yes.
Okay? And we're talking where guys from the opposing side come in and occupy Indian territory. Okay? And in the middle of it, we played a game, and there wasn't this issue, right? So my thing is, we've had 2611. We've had multiple different incidences, right? And I understand the fact that, yes, we have to condemn terrorism, and that is absolutely no, there's no ifs or buts about it. But we've had this issue going on. We've played games in the middle of it, before it, after it,
and we'll still play.
Right? Yeah. So why is it now that there's such an emotional outpouring?
Yeah.
That where even let's say the official BCCA and the PCB and everybody else, and they all played their part. They did the thing, right, because it was a multilateral tournament. But my thing is, normally the stadiums would be full. The stadiums were not full. It's it was unbelievably,
especially in the Middle East, where it's not a partisan crowd. You actually have a good split, actually.
And people didn't turn up, right? And so it's a bit weird for me because, I mean, hang on a minute. No, not too long ago, and we're not talking, too far away. In the middle of a war, we did it. And so why is there such an emotional outpouring here? And why is it, okay, fine, the BCCI and the PCB knew about all this and it was going to happen. Do you think it's a problem with the boards of how they communicated this, or did they take it for granted too much? Look, people will forget and move on. What is it? And maybe they should do a better thing of trying to make sure that, okay, everyone is on board now.
Look, you're spot on, right? And I've tried to go through it and find the right answer. Mm-hmm. The games with regards to the boards not being, if there was a better way they could have handled it, 100%. 100%, I think there was a better way. Again, like we said, we knew this the scheduling well in advance. We knew we were going to play. And like I said, we need a clearance from the Indian government for the Indian team to even go ahead and participate in the tournament. Mm-hmm. TV rights have been sold off. I think you hit the nail on the head where they take it for granted that people will rock up whatsoever. And I think this is where, and again, as much as I'm a diehard Indian cricket team supporter, I have my issues with the way it's governed. Not the players, with the way it's run. I have a lot of question marks with how things are taken for granted. And I think you ask any Indian fan what the experience is in a stadium in India, I think you'd be struggle to find a good narrative around it because they take it for granted, right? And I think that's what happened this time around as well. They tried to market the hell out of it in terms of TV rights, but the people were so disillusioned already because they were annoyed that this tournament is still going ahead. Now they've been sold for ridiculous amounts of money, right?
That's right.
All said and done, the game was going to go ahead unless you needed, natural calamities to happen for the game to not. Even then, it would have just been postponed. So there's a bit of that to it as well. Now I come back to the Indian team really, and like you said, I find that the reason why the Indian team chose to act in that particular way, this is not a decision that that would have happened overnight. They would have thought it out. Now, I think we're in an age where, unfortunately, Martin, and we're victims of it as well. Social media, it's not just the media. Social media is just horrible at the best of times, right? There's just so many people. Every man and his dog really has an opinion where it's gotten to a stage where, any cricketer really cannot take a public stand without cancel culture is real, right? Without fear of being silenced forever. So an Indian team that tries to shake hands, even if they don't want, this is something that they would have been given the directives, right? Or even if they did it of their own kind. There's a reason why they chose to act that way, because if they were photographed really publicly shaking hands, there's a million news channels, and I use news in air quotes because they will frame it in such a way that these people will get absolutely bombarded back home. So you're better off, which is why you don't see, especially in the Indian cricket team, you don't hear a lot about these players taking a public stance. Because the backlash is ridiculous, right?
Yeah, I mean it's sad, isn't it?
It
is because look, at the end of the day, sports is sports, right?
Sports is sports, but unfortunately, it's portrayed in such a way. It is a proxy war, which it isn't.
Well, Politicization has always happened. I mean,
Yeah.
in sports, has always happened. It has never been very far from it. But I just find it. I think, personally speaking, I think Suriko Kumar Yadav, Sky, or whatever they want to call him, should have shaken hands. This is my thought process. Look, this is my person. This is my person.
100%.
I think, look, there's no harm. You go there, right? You whooped them, absolutely
Yes,
whooped them.
that's the thing, right?
That
That's
completely,
the irony.
irony of it is you whooped them, you wiped the floor clean. You just said,
Yeah.
see you next time.
I
And because now what's going to happen is, they're going to play again tomorrow, tonight, or whatever, our time, midnight our time. We're going to have the same situation again, right? Are you going to shake hands? Are you?
No, they don't.
So this nonsense continues,
Yes,
right?
it does. And
Now, where does this stop? This is laying down a precedence,
Yes.
right? Okay, and
Bad
it's a pretty bad precedence, right? So now what happens? Anybody can start saying, "All right, we're going to play hockey, international hockey tournament, right? You're playing Pakistan. Are you going to say no, shaking hands? You go and do wrestling. You got to wrestle the Pakistani guy. You're not going to touch his hands. I mean, like, seriously, how far can you take this bullshit too? I mean, like, you don't set precedents. These have consequences.
Yes.
These have serious consequences in sports. And I understand the news channels and all these things saying their things, right? And I get it, and I understand everyone is trying to be patriotic, and I get all that. But there's also, there has to be a sensibility to this, and there have to be people behind it saying, no, listen, doesn't matter, don't worry about it. You do what you need to do. Because right now, okay, you've done this. Hockey tournament is going to turn up. Volleyball tournament is going to turn up.
Commonwealth Games.
Commonwealth Games is going to turn up. Are you going to just say, no, I'm not going to shake your hands?
Where do you draw the line?
Where do you draw the line? I mean, like, this thing about Operation Sindhu being continuous, fine, it's continuous, right? No problems. We understand that it's continuous. But sports is also ongoing. So if you're going to say, oh, because the operation is still going on, you're not going to shake hands?
I'm with you 100%, Martin. Because, again, if you've chosen to play in a tournament, then play it properly. That's
exactly.
Fine. That's my point. Or take the bull call and say, we are boycotting the tournament as a whole, right? Or say we will not play Pakistan.
We'll forfeit
the game, right?
Yeah.
Now, I looked into the economics of it, the commercials of it. You can choose to forfeit, and Pakistan did something similar. The fine for that, fine. You got to choke up 16 million USD to forfeit a game.
Really?
Right? So, and this is not an India-Pakistan game. This is a game in the Asia Cup.
Right? 16 mil.
16 mil.
That's paying the broadcasters off.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. You choose. And that's why, this is another thing we'll have to talk about, Pakistan's stance and how, unfortunately, it's worked against them. But I'm with you, Martin. Look, like I said, again, I come back to the point, and this is not criticizing. We've got, I almost want to say, we've got the blessing from the Indian government saying, go ahead and play.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then play it properly, right? And in the Pakistan cricket team's defense as well, they haven't said anything, not that we know publicly, in the public domain, that has actually, triggered any, sentiments. They've not made any reference to Pahalgam, really, or anything of that sort. And again, shaking of hands should not be a question or throwing shade at your commitment or your citizenship, really, right?
I mean, how far would you go with this?
You're playing it, because I'm sure you look at any professional athlete, they don't look at the person at the other. At the end of the game, you could be playing anyone. All the pro athlete is looking at is winning and tactics against. They don't look at the color of their skin. They don't look at the color of their uniform. So are you trying to tell me that against an India-Pakistan or against a Pakistan game, Indians will play better, and against another when you go onto the field as an elite athlete, you are playing to win. Period. Right? By that token, and this is a stretch of an analogy, really, Roger Federer should have never been world number one because he's from Switzerland and Switzerland does nothing,
Yeah.
right? So by that token, he should be the most timid player, right?
I agree.
He's world number one. So
it really annoys me. I mean, as a player, I'm not a professional sports person, but I play sport, and I think it's hideous because the ramifications of this is quite.
Yes.
People just. I get the emotional aspect of it because right now, okay, this has happened, right? We have 10 situations between us and China, right? And it's not going to be the first time. It's not going to be the last time. And we're going to have this. Something will happen. Something will happen at the border. And are we going to now jump up in arms and say, all right, we're not playing table tennis against you guys? The Chinese are going to just say, yeah, don't turn up. Please, we're number one anyway. Don't turn up. Or we're not going to play chess with you guys. Don't turn up then. Or we're not going to play badminton against you guys. What nonsense is this? I mean, at some point, who is going to suffer? It's the Indian athlete, by the way, that will be suffering.
But here's the other thing, Martin. They haven't said they won't play. This is where I find it even more annoying. They have said they will play, but they will not acknowledge.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. That makes it even more hypocritical.
Yeah,
right? That is even more. I don't want to use the word childish, but I guess you are playing.
I mean, how far are you going to push this?
What are you going to do next? Oh, actually, they have. Because this is why it gets even more intriguing. Like you start peeling the layers. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Martin. But when you start peeling the layers, the president of the ACC, the Asian Cricket Council,
is a Pakistani guy.
Correct.
Mohin.
Yes. So the Indian team has gone on record to say that if India does win the tournament, and they are tournament favorites, they will not take the cup off him.
Why?
Your guess is as good as mine.
It
is baffling, right?
It is insane. This is like, look, I think we're becoming very childish.
Childish is the word. Immature.
It's very immature, and it doesn't sit well, mate. Honestly, it does not sit well at all to me. As an Indian, I'm telling you, it doesn't sit well with me because what does that got? Look, doesn't matter who he is. If he's going to hand over, you're going to say that we're not going to take the cup off him. What are you going to do?
Yeah, and
what is the point of this?
Exactly. And you won the if you do win the cup, you've gotten the trophy. That's your ultimate goal. It doesn't matter who is giving it to you. Like, it could be one of those self-serving androids that are serving to you as well.
This moralistic stand of ours. This is I can understand why people get frustrated with India, because this moralistic bullshit that we carry on about. I mean, we do this with Pakistan. We will probably end up doing it with China. Okay. If we have to go this moralistic, when are we going to do this with the English? Because 200 years of enslavement, and the amount of shit that they did to us, are we going to say you need to say sorry before we shake your hands? Kind of nonsense. I mean, like, seriously, I get it that Balgam is still going on, but I'm just telling you, this nonsense needs to stop, because the sport, it needs to stop. Because if you can't stop it here, this is going to just continue, and at the end of the day, all media is basically looking for his eyeballs, and they're going to create a controversy. And if you're going to fall into that trap all the time, then you better not play any game. Okay, now that we've talked a little bit about that, let's talk. Look, there's the World Cup coming up.
Before we go there, let's look at it from the other side as well. The precedent has been set, right?
Yeah, it has been set.
It has been set, right? So there's no coming back from this, right? Now, if the Indian team decides to shake hands, they've unfortunately dug themselves into a hole, right?
Yeah.
Right? Let's go one step further. This is not something that Suryakumar Yadav just walked out onto the ground and said. He would have been instructed, this is what, and not him, all the players, this is how we're going to approach it, this is what we're going to do, this is the stance we're going to carry forward. Again, this is like, Donald Trump going and saying, oh, da, da, da. It's not just him. There needs to be some backing around it. There needs to be some unanimous people. It needs to be a unanimous decision to go for it to get carried out.
Oh, without a doubt. Because if Suryakumar had done it without getting instructed by BCCI or
Or
the board, there would have been ramifications for him.
100%.
Absolutely.
I used to have that.
So there's no question about it. The BCCI agreed to this. They might have instructed him. But I'm looking at it from a point of view and saying, okay, you as the BCCI, why didn't someone just say cooler heads prevail?
That's my point. Call ahead. Again, you know the head of the ACC is someone from the PCB. How can you not tell that in advance? Why do you have to leave it till the last minute? Now, if you look at it from the other side of the coin, as a Pakistan team, this shouldn't come as a surprise. I was all up until then going, oh, this is there. But now that I'm trying to detach myself from it, this shouldn't come as a surprise. Like I said, the coach of the Indian team is Gautam Gambhir. We've known there's a bit of history around it. Yes, they've been publicly humiliated, which comes back to your point. The boards could have completely avoided this. They could have taken the stance, but they could have done it very professionally to the point where they could have said this a month in advance, saying, look, we're playing, but we're not going to look each other in the eye.
I mean, it's yeah. Look, it's a bit of a and
it's sad.
It is a really, really sad precedent, and unfortunately, it's now been set, and the ramifications of it is now going to be felt, not just in this sport. It's going to be in any sport in India, and I'll tell you straight up, as an Indian, this is disappointing because
Indian supporter, yeah,
as an Indian supporter, I find it really, it's just short-termism at the highest order. And at some point, this is going to come to a point where every Indian professional sportsman will be expected not to do something with the
That's
Pakistan,
the thing, yeah.
Right? Because if he doesn't do it, then what we're going to have now?
Or if he does do it,
I mean, and they need to start getting out of this concept because look, sports is sports. There are times when you have to meet your opponent, and there are times when you might not like it, but you just have to do it, and that's the spirit of the game, right?
Well, you won the game.
You won the game, and you won the game, right? I mean, if you're that passionate about it, just make sure you do everything you can within the spirit of the game to win the game, and that's the ultimate.
Okay. Look, just in terms of balancing the side of things, I feel we've gone on about the BCCI. Like I said, I've had some time to sort of reflect. I want to take a moment to balance the scales a bit as well.
Mm-hmm.
Come back to the PCB. The Pakistan team was smashed, right? What do? The chronology of events. They lodge one, the captain doesn't come, which is fine. I think that if I were in that position, I think I may have reacted the same way as well. It is a bit of a public humiliation because it was at the last minute. You didn't even shake hands after winning a game, right? The ultimate insult for an athlete is to lose a game, right? You've lost the game.
If I was to advise the Pakistanis, do you know what I would have done? I would have said, you go out there and just be I'd say because you be the bigger person, right? Eventually, India will look really stupid because if you were played the bigger role and not acted emotionally, but just said, "Yeah, we played a bad game. Yep, we're saying, what do you feel about the non-shaking?" That's weird because any sport, you shake your hands. It doesn't matter how the opposition is at this rate. You could have elaborated it, and all of a sudden, you could have put the ball in the other.
Come out being the better person.
Yes, you would have come out being the better person, and you would have had people looking and saying, "Yeah, we're being childish, yeah." And and the fact of the matter is, they didn't take that opportunity. No. I would have, if it was me advising the Pakistani team, I would have said, "Listen, guy, but you go out there, you just pretend as if nothing happened, and if someone asks you the question, you elaborate your position and say, well, this is a bit weird,' and you would have taken the high moral ground. And you would have, and look, at some point the Indian team would have said, "Yeah, this is not a winning strategy."
Oh, they don't have to say anything. I think the narrative around it
would have. Yeah.
Now this is where Pakistan, unfortunately, shot themselves in the foot. They had such a good opportunity to. Well, I won't say it's opportunity, right? Like I said, they've lost the game, right, and they've lost it convincingly. So that's your first what's the word I'm looking for? Insult, right? Already. After all this billing, for all this billing and hype, it was another damn squib of a game. Purely in cricketing terms, it was a foregone conclusion from the first 5 minutes. After the first over was bowled, you knew there was only one way this match was heading. So what is the Pakistan cricket team and management doing? I'm not just going to say the board. The captain doesn't come. Fair enough, that was a spur of the moment thing. In the heat of the moment, he chose not to come. They then go ahead and file a complaint against the match referee, Andy Pycroft, who is Zimbabwean, right? This story gets even interesting, right? They file a complaint and say, they say Andy Pycroft sided with India in allowing this to happen. And they filed an official complaint to the ICC saying, I'm not, again, paraphrasing here, that he didn't
wasn't neutral.
He wasn't neutral. He didn't act professionally. In his capacity, he shouldn't have done that. Again, who is advising the board on this? He didn't break anything. The ICC obviously appoints neutral match referees. They came back. The appeal was squashed almost as quickly, probably quicker than the way it found its way.
Understood.
Yeah, came back and said, no, he did nothing. He advised, and to their second point, they said, he's done nothing. All he said was advice that the Indian team have decided not to shake hands with you. Just convey the message. So he's not your villain in here. Leave him out of this. And they said, as you were, Andy Pycroft will go. Pakistan Cricket Board then goes ahead, so management rather goes ahead and said, all right, we refuse to play if he's officiating in any of the games. Right? And the ICC comes back and says, he is our designated match referee unless something, happens to him health-wise or he chooses not to play. He's our man. He's neutral. He will, which is completely their stance. He will officiate. He's a neutral umpire. He's a match referee of repute as well. What does the Pakistan Cricket Board then do? Mind you, the focus should be on their cricket, right? They've had a pasting. They should have just gone ahead and said, let's try to fix our game anyway. Again, not faulting the players in this. I actually feel for the players because this is a new captain, and the Pakistan Cricket Board has a bit of a history of turbulence. Chaos is the only constant in that management, really. In their next game against the UAE, what do? They decide to boycott the game.
Yeah, that's weird. Explain that to me.
Okay, so this is their moral stance. They said, again, the ICC, we feel like we've been treated unfairly. Again, I come back to our earlier point. You should have seen this coming.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, now that it's happened, what do you think is going to happen? Right? What do you want from them? It's happened. It's occurred. Right? Your aim now is to qualify for the Super Fours or try to win the tournament, which is the aim of every team that competes in a world tournament, in a global tournament, right? Your aim, is to compete regardless. Yeah. So they've gone and taken a moral stance just before the game, saying, we refuse to come onto the field until Andy Pycroft apologizes. Apologizes for what?
What?
Exactly, right? Now, this is where the management is silly. They took a moral stance and decided, we won't play. We'll decide to boycott the game. Again, the management, the power that should have realized, if someone had actually gone through the contract, would have realized, yeah, absolutely, cough up $16 million. Now, again, this is where...
Is it per game?
Per game, yeah, per game. $16 million to forfeit a game.
So you forfeit 2 and that's 32 million. At this rate, you'll be paying.
No, so that's the thing, right? So you've decided you want to boycott, right? We will have more respect if we see it through. 1 hour later, I don't know who it is. We will never know. They come back and say, all right, no, we'll come back, but we'll play. We'll only play if we have a public apology from Andy Pycroft, the match referee, To which the ICC said, mind you, Andy Pycroft is not saying a single thing.
No, good on
Right?
him.
Yeah, he's employed by the ICC and he's being a professional. The ICC has said not doing. So then they requested for a meeting with Andy Pycroft. Right? Again, this is for some odd reason they came back and said, oh, actually no. It was on commentary. One of the commentators, Pakistani commentators, said, "Oh, Andy Pycroft has a history of officiating in more Indian games than others." So almost, alleging that he's
He's been paid.
well paid and a friend of the Indian cricket team, right? Paid, you can say that can be misconstrued.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
suddenly an hour. So just before match start, the match is being delayed by an hour. Now I feel for the players because the players don't know what's going on. The PCB said no. So all their kits have been loaded into the bus. The players have trained for the game, and just at the end hour, the management decides to say, "Oh, we're going to boycott the game." So they're sitting there going, "What's going on here?" So all this deliberation is happening behind closed doors. Tournaments should have started an hour ago. An hour later, they say, "All right, we'll play based on these conditions." So that itself, they've had a that's a gross misconduct on their part, right? One, they've decided to boycott, and then magically 1 hour later said, "No, that's okay. All right, we won't boycott now. We'll go ahead and play, but we need these conditions." So this will come back to bite them. They win the game, albeit UAE did play well. But then they go ahead and have a meeting with Andy Pycroft. So these allegations where they said, the stats come out, Andy Pycroft has officiated in 90 India games, 110 Pakistan games. And so he's got a good amount of experience. He's one of the highest. So there's the claim that he's, officiated more Indian games and things has been quashed right there. The numbers are there to see. He then comes to a meeting with the Pakistan Cricket Board, with the president, and they then go ahead and release a video with no audio saying, "We have agreed to play because Andy Pycroft has apologized."
I knew this was going to come.
So this video has come out and with no audio, by the way.
No audio.
No audio. It's just
somebody can lip read this anyway.
No, it's just a thing of them sitting in the room, and that was their version coming out saying, "Oh, this is why we've chosen to continue because he's apologized." Apologized for what? To which the ICC came back and said, "There's no apology there. There is nothing in there. All Andy Pycroft said was, this is my stance. The ICC has instructed me to officiate. I will not be foregoing any games. No one is replacing me. I will be officiating in the games that I have been rostered in." Ironically, which is the India-Pakistan game tonight as well. But the Pakistan Cricket Board has released this video and saying this is the reason why. So they've quashed it again. ICC has come back and quashed it and said all these claims are true. So what are these guys thinking?
Yeah, see, this is a bunch of people who have no clue.
So now you come back to the Indian team. We've bashed the BCCI for the moral stance they've gone in. Pakistan hasn't helped their case by acting. You call the Indian team childish? How do you explain this?
Oh, it's terrible.
This is horrible. Yeah. And again, unfortunately,
there's no adults in the room.
Well, there's no adults. This is a reflection on the players now. When the again, they've lost to India. The focus should have been keep quiet. If we have to, let's win. Let's win tonight's game. Let's win the tournament and show them who's boss. So they've deflected attention from the fact that the team has performed subpar. And I'm going to use the word subpar, not because I'm arrogant that the Indian team is performing well. As a cricket enthusiast, the game was there to see. It was just so bad. Someone like a UAE performed. Afghanistan, they're a team that has gone progressively. They didn't do as well, but that's a team that is doing well in terms of they haven't gone far in the tournament, but that's an upcoming team. So all they've done is deflect attention from their poor performance. So anyway, that's where we stand now.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit strange. I mean, look, sometimes you have to wonder where are the adults, right? I mean, I swear, if I was to advise this Pakistan team, I would have put them in a 180-degree direction, the opposite direction, and it would have been full glare on the Indian team and their behavior. But anyway, both have behaved very badly, and now the Pakistanis are behaving even worse. Sadly, I mean, and that's the question: is where are the adults? Anyway, now moving on, we're slightly short of time.
Sure. Sorry,
Look,
Ramon.
no, that's okay. That's okay. We need to quickly talk about the women's tournament and the World Cup that is coming up. It's going to be happening between India. It's being hosted in India and Sri Lanka. Mate, what are your thoughts on the Women's World Cup? And what do you see this going? Obviously, how do you think it's going to win?
Look, I can summarize this in about 30 seconds. Look, as much as at the start of this, we talked about India being this behemoth of a T20 team.
Yep.
In the ODI women's team, Australia is just head and shoulders above anyone else. Just to put things in
100%
perspective,
agree with you there. Yep.
Look, in 12 editions of the tournament, Australia has won it 7 times.
Jesus.
Right? The next best team is England that have won it 4 times. So nearly 50%.
This is like the All Blacks, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
For those of you who don't know the All Blacks is the New Zealand rugby team. In 100 years of playing the sport, they're the most consistent winning team in the world with a win ratio, I think, north of 80% in 100 years, right? So it's unheard of numbers, right? And look, this is bordering on that.
If I told you that the women's ODI, Australian women's ODI team has a better record than the men's ODI team,
yeah, I'm not surprised.
You'd fall.
But it also comes down to the fact that it's a relatively new sport that has turned professional.
Well, yes.
I mean, I'm talking globally.
Correct.
I mean,
correct.
I'm not. Look, in Australia, it's become more professional, and it's a pathway for a lot of girls to go in. The UK and New Zealand and things like that. It's only beginning to pick up in India.
Correct.
And naturally, once that starts to happen, you have to give it a little bit of
Yes,
runway,
absolutely.
and things will get just like the Indian team.
Yeah.
When we were playing when the men's, we were not great when we started, but then it's taken us a number of years to get here. So yeah, look, it's interesting, and I agree. I think Australia's probably going to win.
Australia's, I mean, again, sport. The beauty of sport is the unpredictability of it.
Yeah.
But if you had to put money, you'd be silly not to put money on Australia.
Yeah.
Right? They are by far tournament favorites. To say they're tournament favorites is probably understating it. They have to. You'd expect them to win.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, in Australia, we're both in Australia. By the way, for those of you, I'm sitting in Vinny's dining room. We're shooting this in Vinny's dining room, so because it's a pretty inclement day here in Melbourne, we're going to shoot this in my house, but didn't have enough light, so we have decided to shoot this in his dining room. So this is what you're seeing is his house. I think. Like you said, in Australia, they expect their team to win.
Yes.
There's a natural expectation for their team to win. This is, I mean, it's like the Australian cricket team also. There's an expectation if you're playing.
It's not even an expectation. Although they actually they expect themselves to win as players themselves. I mean, they don't expect anything less. They go there and we're here to win.
And in terms of I think obviously the women's T20 IPL, women's IPL, or whatever you want to call it, that's obviously picked up and in the recent years, and things are changing. What do you think? Is that going to? It will definitely not match the men's, but what do you think that will change attitudes in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and things like that, where people are going to say, "Look, there's an opportunity for us to make be part of this?"
Yes, no. All said and done. Look, like you said, the women's cricket team in particular has only gained steam in the last few, especially in India, only in the last few years.
Yeah,
right. Australia and England were a little better off, and that's the results are there to see. Right, they set the groundwork much earlier. Hence why Australia got this era of dominance. Really, the players are just conditioned. But the Indian cricket team, have
picked it up.
have picked it up, right? And that's because of the women's
Right,
Premier League, right? These players, Harmanpreet, Smriti Mandhana, they've come to Australia for the Big Bash. They're getting more uh,
Exposed.
exposure to the the workings of how the pro athletes perform as well. So they are performing well. Just to put things in perspective, Australia is playing in India at the moment. The women's team in this Australia's won it 2-1, but a few years ago, even winning that one game was not given. Smriti Mandhana is in the form of her life. Last night, Australia scored. Look, the second ODI, first one was as expected. Australia won. Second one, India won by 190 runs. Smriti Mandhana scoring 100. That is not something you would expect from the.
No.
I'm not going to say the Indian team. It's not something you expect from the Australian women's team.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
yeah,
right?
I was a bit surprised too. To be serious.
And last night, Australia won the game again, but they scored north of 400 in a 50-over game, right?
Yeah.
That is, you could argue whatever. You could say it's a batsman's paradise, well, batter's paradise. We're going to be politically correct here. It is a batter's paradise, but you still got to score 400. Now, in reply, India lost only by 30 odd runs. They ended up scoring 360. So it's a fair crack. Smriti Mandhana scoring another rapid 100. So Harmanpreet Kaur, Smriti Mandhana. So this is a team that you have to give credit to. Look,
Absolutely.
again, absolutely, they're here, like you said. Probably not now, probably not next year, but in the next few years,
It's
they will get
look. I think what I would say is that these guys are setting a template.
Yes.
For the next generation.
Correct.
To pick it up and do better. Because at the end of the day, sports is all about, evolving and getting better and knowing things, what has worked, what doesn't work, and doing better. And I think, what both Smriti Mandhana and Harmanpreet Kaur and all these guys and, are doing is setting a new set of standards for how women should compete, and I think it will get to a point where there'll be more and more people going and watching.
Oh, absolutely!
I went.
If they haven't already.
Yeah, so it's good for the sport in general, and I'm really happy that this is happening. And yeah, so anyway, on that note, we're going to have to say goodbye. It's been a pretty long conversation today. I just want to say a really big thank you, mate, for being being available and actually having this conversation. I loved every minute of it because this is something we do privately, and the fact that you agreed to do this on camera, it makes it really, really special. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. What we're going to also do is from time to time, I'm going to be bringing Vinny on because the Ashes is going to happen. And what I'll do is I will bring him on to come in and have a chat about whatever happens or whatever that's happening. And he gives us his perspective. And look, to those of you who are new to our channel, please, thank you very much. Give us a thumbs up, and if you can subscribe, that'd be great. Just remember, subscribing to our channel doesn't mean that you're paying for anything. It's just telling the algorithms that you're interested in our content. And for those of you who are coming back and watching us again and again, we appreciate you very much, and thank you very much. Give us a thumbs up also. So on that bombshell, I'm going to we'll close it off. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Martin.
Thank you.